Drive. Welcome into the Dakota Drive. One day I'll learn to unmute myself before I start talking. Welcome into the Dakota Drive, November 3rd. November, man. Hard to believe that we're here, right? That means playoff football. That means playoff volleyball. It means we're in the kind of descending part of the fall sports season, believe it or not. Hard to believe that it's flown by so quickly, but that's what happens when you're having this much fun, right? This week, a lot of things going on. We've got district tournaments happening for volleyball, which is, not entirely new, but it's fairly new for these Class B teams with the new, addition of the Class 3 system in volleyball. We've added the district portion. Some of these regions used to have districts. Linton and Keller, they played in that old Region 3 that had a district tournament, but outside of that, there wasn't a lot of teams on the west side of the state that had district tournaments. So that's, something new for a lot of these teams that they're going through for the first time. A lot of them, I guess, are going through it for the second time because a lot of these girls have done it in basketball, last season with the 3-class system, but now it's just something new for the volleyball side of things. So excited about that. We're going to have district volleyball coverage tonight on KFYR and KMOT and KUMV across the state. But obviously we're in the thick of the playoff race when it comes to football. And couldn't be more excited about that. Couldn't be more excited about what we're doing with Destination Dakota Bowl as teams get set to play in the semifinals this week. And we have done pretty well from the west side of the state in terms of getting teams to this point of the season, getting them to the semifinals. And we're going to have a couple of coaches coming on today that'll be coaching in the semifinal rounds this upcoming weekend. Both of them will be coaching on Saturday. That's going to be Zach Keller from Bottineau, the head coach and athletic director at Bottineau, and his team has been playing phenomenal. As the 6th seed, they went on the road and defeated number 3 Ellendale this past weekend. 1-point road win, a game that they trailed in to find a way to win there on the road as the 6th seed against the 3 seed. Impressive stuff out of Bottineau. It's a team that we've talked a lot about this year. John Jacqueline's done a fantastic job talking about them on KMOT with a couple of cool stories that they've had. And so excited to see what Bottineau brings to the table this week. They're certainly going to have their hands full. They're going to go on the road and take on number 2 Kildare and Andy Cook, who we recently had on the show. The Cowboys getting a win over Dickinson Trinity at home this past weekend to advance to the semifinal round. And then our second guest of the day, a little past the half hour, is going to be Evan Mellmer from South Border. And the Mustangs, they've won on the road twice now. And they'll have to do it again, a third time here in the semifinals. And this one will probably be their toughest test, but they've faced some big tests already. Going on the road to beat a pair of undefeated teams to get to the semifinal round is just an insane accomplishment. And so now there's 3 teams left in the 9-man playoffs from that region that South Border's in, between South Border, Hankinson, and Lemoore, Litchfield, Marion. And now 2 of those will have to go head-to-head in the semifinals in Lemoore, Litchfield, Marion, and South Border. So we'll get a chance to talk with the Mustangs head coach just past 2:30 as he'll join the show. But first off, if you haven't seen our coverage from the past 3 weeks or so since the 9-man and single-A playoffs started, and then now the AAA and AA playoffs in full swing. We'd love for you to check out our playoff coverage online. I'm going to show you what it looks like here. Destination Dakota Bowl 33 is kind of a one-stop shop for where you can find everything. We've got brackets on here for all of the classes, all in one place. And it's just a convenient place to find scores, get a chance to find some interviews, get a chance to find some stories that we've done leading up to this point in the season. So it's a great place to get all of your information all at once. And if you just type in Destination Dakota Bowl, KFYR, Destination Dakota Bowl, your news leader, you'll be able to find it pretty easily. Or just type in Dakota Bowl 33, and I think you can probably get a hit on that pretty easily. But it's been an exciting run through the playoffs so far, and it's exciting to see how much success we're having from our teams from the west side of the state. And let's actually start by talking about the AAA and AA teams. And I'm going to pull up the bracket here. And this is where we're at with AAA and AA. And this is incredibly exciting because you've got 3 Bismarck area schools into the semifinals. So top-seeded Century out of the West will take on Legacy this Friday at the Bowl. And then Bismarck is going to have to travel to take on Fargo-Davies on the road. So they'll certainly have their hands full taking on the top seed out of the east side of the state. And Fargo-Davies has looked incredible so far this year. They cruised against Mandan in the first round. Davies defeated Bismarck earlier in the season, 42-13. So they do have the upper hand in terms of what the regular season meeting looked like between the two. Bismarck obviously playing some fantastic football, and where they're at right now is really interesting. Their regular season ended with a loss to Century on a blocked point after, and then they beat West Fargo here in Bismarck with a blocked point after attempt that ended up being the difference maker. But the interesting thing about this, Century, Legacy, Bismarck, all 3 into the semifinals. That's the first time ever that 3 Bismarck public schools will be playing in the same semifinals, as this is Legacy's first trip to the semifinals. So that's certainly going to be something to watch here over the course of the weekend. Century and Legacy going to be a fantastic matchup. Fargo-Davies and Bismarck, obviously, if you're Bismarck, you know what you're going to be facing against Fargo-Davies, and now you're a little bit deeper into the season. They played each other in mid-September, so obviously, things change in a short amount of time in high school football, so that's going to be a fun matchup to watch on Friday night. See if the Demons can go on the road and pull off an upset, and then we're guaranteed an All-West WDA Dakota Bowl in Class AAA, and I would love nothing more to see that. Nothing against teams from the East, but obviously it makes our job a lot easier, and it makes our job a lot more fun with the more West teams that we have in the bracket. So let's take a look at Class AA now. Minot North and Kindred continuing to show their dominance at this level. None of these, well, 3 out of the 4 of these games weren't incredibly close. Central Cass and St. Mary's. St. Mary's made that one interesting. Had the ball late, down 8 against Central Cass, but just couldn't get it done. I knew the Saints were going to put up a fight in that game, and that was going to be a good one on the road, but Central Cass comes out with the win, 22-14. Up top, though, there, Minot North and Red River. Red River was challenging Minot North there for a while. The Sentinels able to pull away. They end up getting a 20-6 win at home, protecting that home field advantage, and now they'll get a chance to host Central Cass in the next round. Those are 2 teams that have never played against each other. Obviously, Minot North, a very young program, making their second semifinal appearance in a row, but Central Cass and Minot North will be a completely new matchup, which is pretty cool. Kindred, 5 times in the last 6 seasons now that they've made a semifinal appearance, and they'll take on Devil's Lake. Devil's Lake, relatively new to the semifinals. They haven't been in since 2017, so it's been a little bit. Obviously, Kindred and Minot North, probably if you asked most people around the state, they'd probably tell you that they think Kindred and Minot North are going to match up in the Dakota Bowl, but that's why the games are played. You got to play in the semifinals first to get to that point. Kindred and Minot North, the only undefeated teams remaining in that Class AA bracket, so we'll see how that fares. Kind of interesting. Kindred and Devil's Lake, they've only played 3 times ever before. Kindred's won all 3 of those matchups, so Devil's Lake going to have to make the road trip down to Kindred in the semifinal round of the playoffs on Friday night. And then let's jump to our 9-man bracket, and then we'll come back to Class A just because we're going to be talking to Zach Keller first out of Bottineau. So we'll do Class A last. So taking a look at the 9-man bracket here, you've got your 4 teams there in the middle that'll be advancing to the semifinal round. New Rockford, Cheyenne, Maddox taking on 5th-seeded Hankinson. Then on the other side, it's going to be South Border traveling to take on Lemoore, Litchfield, Marion. Those are 2 teams that have seen each other this season. New Rockford, Cheyenne, Maddox, the top seed and showing why throughout this playoff. They have not struggled whatsoever. They defeated Grant County Flasher 60-14 in the quarterfinal round. And with the exception of the South Border game, all of these games were not close. Hankinson beats Napoleon Gackle Streeter 52-8 at home. Lemoore Litchfield Marion, they took down 7th-seeded Kidder County by 50 points. That was a 56-6 win for them. And then South Border winning by 4 on the road at Lytton HMB. Obviously not a very long road trip. We talked about that last week, just having to travel about 30 miles or so to take on Lytton HMB. That old rivalry game, now that they're in new regions, maybe not as much of a rivalry anymore. So getting a chance to reignite that in the playoffs had to be exciting. And we'll have South Border head coach Evan Mellmer on here in just a little bit as the Mustangs get set to take on Lemoore Litchfield Marion, a team that they lost to in the regular season. So they'll get their second shot at them coming up here this weekend. Let's go straight to Class A as we transition. This one, man, Langdon is a very good team, and I don't want to take anything away from them, but I think this is the most unpredictable bracket that we have right now. I mean, Velva is playing incredible football. They, in a game that you thought might be pretty close in a 4 versus 5 seed in the quarterfinal round against Park River, Velva wins by 44 at home. They win 50-6 over Park River. Again, Park River was the 5 seed. We talked about it. Velva maybe not super happy with the fact that they were the 4 seed coming in. So, they have shown so far that they can be pretty dominant, and they've done so. And I think the most interesting thing about this is, a position where Langdon's going to be wanting to get a little revenge as they host Velva, because Velva ended their season in 2024 in the semifinals. The Aggies won pretty big in that one, 51-13, and then obviously go on and win the state championship. So those are two teams that are familiar with each other in postseason play. And then on the other side, it's going to be Killdeer and Bottineau, and Killdeer, again, taking care of business at home against Dickinson Trinity. A game that was pretty close for the most part. Killdeer able to pull away there late. Tucker Bombach, I think, had 5 touchdowns in that game. Bottineau ends up getting a win on the road over Ellendale, 36-35, third-seeded Ellendale, and just an exciting game all around for Bottineau, and Bottineau finding themselves in an exciting position. And so that's kind of where we're going to transfer things over here a little bit as we bring in the Bottineau head coach, Zach Keller. Give me just a second here. First off, man, I mean, how exciting is it for you guys to be in this position? We're going to, give me just a second, Zach. We're going to make sure we have our volume turned off here on, I was getting some background audio here from an extra window that I had up. Bottineau in a great position, though. They're coming off a win over Ellendale, and now they got to go on the road once more, and now we'll try this again with you, Zach. First off, how exciting is this for you guys to be in this position, to have a chance to say, hey, we're in the semifinal round? Did you ever imagine at the beginning of the season that this was a team that could make it, to this point in the season?
I knew we had a pretty solid team. I didn't know, if we could make a deep run like this, but it's credit to a lot of our younger guys, and we put some time in the off season to get stronger and quicker, and they took bigger steps than I maybe initially thought they would, and it's just kind of a credit to their character.
Well, walk me through this past weekend. I mean, I'm imagining that the blood pressure was not great on Saturday. How did you handle the Saturday game that comes down to the wire? And I guess more importantly, how did your guys handle it, and how proud were you of how they handled it?
Yeah, it was, obviously a game that, everybody, never forget that probably the rest of their lives, players, coaches, everybody involved, family. And I gotta give our kids credit. They, being down, 20-7, they never thought they were out of the game. They just said, nope, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. And it's just a credit to them how they just battle tested and battled back and just gutsy kind of grind it out. They just got after it. That's just, I can't ask for more as a coach.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what was the message at halftime? I mean, you're trying to dig yourself out of a hole from early in that game. So, what was your message, and just how did you see those guys respond in a matter of minutes once you got out there for the second half?
It was just a message was guys were, you know, yeah, we made a special team mistake, but we weren't making a lot of mistakes. We just needed to, capitalize and on offense and get, a little more consistent drives going. And we kind of made some adjustments there at half and just told them, hey, let's keep going. Like we can battle back, we can score fast. And they just went after it and got it.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna read off a few numbers here that I saw. Emerson Merriam had just shy of 300 yards passing and 4 touchdowns, and then 85 rushing yards. I mean, how good has he been for you guys this season? And what has that consistency provided for you guys as a team and for you as a coach, knowing that you've got a guy like that back in the backfield?
He's a great leader. He's just a gamer. I mean, when it's time to step up, he's always going to be there. I mean, he's played a lot of varsity sports as a junior. I mean, he started some games for us at D back when he was a freshman. And last year he played quarterback and D back, and his freshman year, also he started every game in basketball. Also, I mean, he's put a lot of time in and been in a lot of pressure cooker moments. He's just kid too who puts a lot of time in. He works on his craft. I mean, he was, every couple times a week getting his receivers out on the field in the summertime on his own, and he's a grinder and just wants to win.
Yeah. Walk me through. So, if I'm right, Emerson threw a touchdown to Landon Solberg that ended up being the one that put you guys ahead. Walk me through that last offensive drive for you guys and just kind of how it unfolded from your perspective on the sideline.
Yeah, I mean, we converted a lot of third downs and fourth downs throughout the game, but that last drive, I kind of methodically marched down the field, and um, Emerson hooked up with Solberg, and then were down 1 point, and we just um, right initially, I mean, I wanted to go for two right away, and then I took a timeout to kind of discuss it with the guys, and it was unanimous what we wanted to do, and they wanted to go for the win. So driving that far down there in 4.5 hours on a bus ride, um, we just kind of threw the chips in the center of the table and said, "Here we go. So let's get after it." And we got that conversion there, and that's like I said, it's just the battle test of this group is it's just they're a fun group to coach, a very unselfish team.
Yeah. What was the thought process there? I mean, obviously you said you drove all the way down there to Ellendale. You got to go for a win, but I know those decisions aren't easy as a head coach, right? So is that something that you've thought about before and you're like, hey, if I'm ever in this position, because I know, everyone always says, oh, the coach should have done this or should have done that. And I know it could have gone the other way if you don't get the 2 point conversion, right? So how did you approach that? Is that just something that you've kind of planned for, or in the moment you just said, I think this is our best bet?
It was an in the moment thing. I mean, I had some assistant coaches on the headsets too were like, "Let's go for the win here," and like, "Okay, we're kind of everybody's on the same page." So it's just one of those things where I mean, to me, it would be a year to year thing too with your group of guys you have maybe, or a week to week thing depending on who you're playing, things like that. It's just I I get it. I mean, to go like I said, to go that far on a bus and then try to play for a tie and go to overtime potentially, maybe depending on what happened that last drive for them. It's kind of like, let's just go for it now. Ride the
Yeah.
momentum that we had on that drive.
Well, I know that this is a little bit different, but another guy that I wanted to ask you about is your kicker. And funny enough, he wasn't in this situation, I know, but a guy that we've done a story on and I know has gotten a lot of hype because of how successful he's been this season. How cool is that to see a guy like your kicker getting as much attention as he has and having as much success he has had to earn that recognition? What's that been like for you guys, and how much of an asset is it for you as a coach?
Oh, I mean, as a coach, it's huge because you don't have to go for two potentially every time. You got a kicker that in your back pocket who's very accurate from 45 yards in roughly. So I mean, in a small town, North Dakota, 2,000 people to have that kind of weapon in your back pocket, you don't that just doesn't come along very often. And it's credit to him too, the time that he puts in on that craft. I mean, I could tell you right now, completely honest, he knows way more about kicking than I ever did. Will do. He's he's put a lot of time into camps in the summer and did some stuff down in the cities, and he just learned a lot of stuff. And his little brother's on the team too, so he kind of it helps him with all that stuff too. So as a coach, it makes it pretty easy when you can lean on that.
Well, we're showing a little bit of video here from the first round game against Central McLean. I mean, for you guys to get a win against a really good Central McLean team in the first round, and then obviously a road win in the second one, and now you've got another challenge having to go on the road again. I mean, how have you seen this unfold? How have you seen this playoff run unfold in terms of as this you know are you confident in this team? Have you felt confident in this team when you've gotten in some tough situations with your back against the wall?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, playing Central McLean, a good football team, playing Allendale, very physical, hard-nosed football team. Our guys have just been battle tested. Early in the season had a really good battle with the previous state champion in Velva. That it just taught us a lot, and it prepared us for this stretch run too. And then our two non-region games to start the season were both two playoff teams as well. So I mean, our guys have went through a lot already, and it just helps them get them ready for this moment.
Well, I want to ask you about the next rounds. A Killdeer team that is not necessarily a common opponent for Bottineau. As far as I can tell, it's only the second time you guys have played, and funny enough, last year was the first time. So I know there's some pieces that carry over for both teams, right, which may make things a little bit easier. But just what stands out about Killdeer and what you've seen from them on tape and what you've been able to see from watching from afar?
Yeah, we played them last year. I think it was second game of the year, a non-region game. Just I got to know their AD, coach, and he coaches. I think these are OC. Nick Walker, and a couple of years ago we kind of coached the Shrine Bowl together. So got to know him, and we just kind of lined up a non-region game, and now we're going to play him in this game. I guess it's only fair they came here last year, so we'll make the trip down there this year. But they're a very explosive, athletic team. I mean, well coached. I mean, it's going to be a grinded out battle like it was last week.
Whenever you talk about Killdeer, what stands out? They've got the Bombach kids that have been really good. How do you slow down their offense?
I don't know if you can slow it down. I think you got to just contain it and try to keep the lid on the bottle, I guess you'd say. I mean, that kind of sounds corny, but to be honest, I mean, that they're very explosive. We just got to kind of try to hopefully limit their big plays.
At the same time, how do you get your offense going against them? What's going to be the key for you guys and getting Emerson going and the rest of that squad on offense?
I mean, we came, coming off the game we had last week, and some adjustments we made there, and I think if we can just come out and kind of continue what we're doing and just progress on what we've done all year, and just build off of that, and hopefully we can keep it rolling.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to get you out of here on this. Couple of rapid-fire questions really quick. First answer that comes off the top of your head, and these will be the first questions coming off the top of my head, too. You're in the same position this weekend. You're down by 1. Do you go for 2 again, or have you made that decision yet?
I wouldn't. I couldn't make that decision right now. It'd be good question, but kind of the ebbs and flows of the game. We'll see how it goes. I mean, honestly.
You get in a position where you've got to kick a field goal. What's the max that your kicker can go? I know that might depend on weather, but how far have you seen him kick? What would be the most that you would send him out there for?
Well, obviously, depending on the elements, of course, and then he does a lot of stuff pregame where he warms up on his kicks, and he'll I trust him. He'll give me, hey, I'm comfortable from this or that. The best thing I've seen him do in practice is he's hit a 55-yarder in practice. I mean, obviously the elements would have to be ideal for that, but I'm pretty confident with him, 40 yards and in for sure.
Yeah, that's fantastic. We did a story recently about one of your players having some custom cleats, which is a cool thing. Can we get you some custom shoes? I think lime green and pink would look good on your feet if we could get you hooked up with that.
Yeah. Uh, I'm sorry, but I think I got to wear everything I wore last Saturday. So I'm kind
All
of
right,
superstitious
not
that.
superstitious at all, right? Yeah. Um,
I'm a baseball coach too. So that's
right.
kind of that way that baseball people are. So
Yeah. Last thing, you've spent a lot of time on a bus, or you're gonna spend a lot of time on a bus between this past weekend and this coming weekend, and maybe another weekend after that. What's your bus routine as a coach?
honestly, I kind of just sit there and listen to some tunes and occasionally we'll talk with some of the guys and but for the most part it's kind of just sit there and chill. I mean, kind of, sometimes you can get zoned in on the game, but I've kind of been at this for quite a while now. Football was my 19th year, but also was an assistant basketball coach for 7, 8 years, and then been head baseball for about 14. So I've had a lot of time on a bus, and I also umpire in the summer. So it's a lot of miles on the road. So it's you kind of just, but and early in the season too, we took that trip all the way to Lisbon, which is kind of very similar to Ellendale. So we've kind
Right.
of logged some miles this season.
Yeah. No kidding. No, not lots of extra time in your life right now between all the things you got going on. That's for sure. But we appreciate it, Zach. Thanks so much for joining us. Best of luck this weekend on the road against Killdeer. We'll be watching. We appreciate your time, man.
You bet. Appreciate you having me on. Thanks.
All right. That's Zach Keller, the head coach of Botno football. Botno going to go on the road and take on the Killdeer Cowboys and both of those teams. I mean, um, that's going to be an incredible game to watch between those two. Killdeer has been hard to stop. I thought that, Killdeer and Trinity, I thought that might be a game that turns into a shootout this past weekend, and Killdeer ended up finding a way to kind of separate themselves in that win over Trinity. Obviously getting to play on their home field, not that big of a difference the way it may be in a game like this against Botno, but Killdeer's been fantastic. Tucker Bombach, if I remember correctly, I think Ben told me he had 5 touchdowns. So, I mean, an incredible performance from him. And the thing with Killdeer is they've had so many different guys step up at different parts of the season that it's like every week there's a new name that I'm seeing or talking about or hearing about that I didn't know their name the week before, right? And it's just kind of like, where do they keep finding guys to make plays? And that's something we asked Andy Cook about last week. But that's going to be a heck of a game between Botno and Killdeer. A chance to go to the Dakota Bowl on the line. Obviously, we'll pop up this Class A bracket one more time here. Killdeer Botno going head-to-head, the 2 versus 6 seed. The winner of that one will take on the winner of number 1 Langdon against number 4 Velva. As Zach mentioned, Botno's gotten a chance to see Killdeer last season. I think it was the second week of the regular season they faced off against each other, and Killdeer got the win in that game pretty handedly. So not a team that they see a lot, but I think a team that they'll be familiar with some of the things that they want to do as they travel down to Killdeer this week, because obviously Killdeer does have a different roster from last year, but there is a lot of carryover as well. There's a scenario where we could have 2 teams from the west side of the state playing against each other in the Dakota Bowl in Class A. We could certainly have that in Class AAA. So those are 2 brackets that we're going to be following closely as things play out in Class A this weekend. But Botno and Killdeer, if there's a game to watch this weekend, that might be one to circle on the calendar. Excited to see how that one plays out. Again, Emerson Merrim had 294 passing yards last week. 3 of those touchdowns, I think, went to Landon Solberg, the guy who eventually caught the game-winning touchdown as well. So a great connection there for Botno. They're back into the semifinals. Last time they made it to the semifinals was 2021. So not necessarily a completely unfamiliar position, but I'm sure it feels good for that community to be back there and be back in that spot once more. But we're going to shift gears to the 9-man bracket because here in a few minutes, Evan Mellmer is going to be joining us from South Border. South Border getting a chance to go on the road and play against Linton HMB, a program that they're very familiar with, separated by just about a half hour. And Evan's going to join us here in the next 5 minutes or so. But, two teams that played each other, used to play each other a lot. Linton had that stretch there for 3 years, I think, where they went up to Class A. South Border was a 9-man, so they're not playing a lot then. Then they get back. They're in the same region for 1 year, maybe, I think, last year, and they play against each other, and now they're in new regions. So it's kind of been off and on between how much those two teams have been playing against each other. In recent memory. I'm going to pull up my notes here so I can look back at what the record is between those two. But South Border taking care of business in a game that was very close, and I think everyone expected to be really close. Linton, before going into that game this past weekend, Linton had won 30 matchups against South Border dating back to 1975, and South Border had won 5 of those matchups. So, Linton has gotten the best of them quite a bit, and so I know it felt good for South Border to get that win, especially on the road, but to still be able to do it in a place that's close enough where so many of your home fans can see it. I know that had to be fun for them as well. Now South Border makes their second semifinal appearance in 3 seasons, not far removed from a Dakota Bowl appearance. They haven't gotten that Dakota Bowl title that they've been so close to a couple of times now with deep playoff runs under Evan Mellmer, but South Border can see it within reach now, for sure. And this is kind of the underdog story of the playoffs, I think you would say, because they are, an unranked team, unseeded team, and you look at the other 3 names that are up there, everyone else has a number by their name, right? And that's because they ended up getting a seed out of the regular season, and South Border is playing a little bit with their backs against the wall. But again, those 3 of those teams there are 3 teams from the same region: Hankinson, Lemoore, Litchfield, Marion, and South Border, that are all representing the same region. And so I think that goes to show just how good the football has been, especially in the southern part of the state in 9-man, because first off, to get Grant County Flasher, Kidder County, Napoleon, Linton, and South Border, to get all of those teams through the first round says a lot. And then for that new region that South Border is in, I think that shows a lot about the strength of who they're playing against and what they've been up against so far this season. South Border is going to have their hands full. Once again, they're going to take on a Lemoore Litchfield Marion team that they played in the regular season, obviously as a region opponent, and that one was down in Wishick, so it was on their home field, and Lemoore won that one 50-7. That was about halfway through the regular season, I think. I think that was game 4 of the regular season. So 2 teams that are familiar with each other. Lemoore Litchfield Marion's obviously had a lot of success in recent years, and now's going to be the time for the opportunity for South Border to slow them down. And once again, I got a window up here that is making noise, so give me just a second. But we're going to welcome in head coach of the South Border Mustangs, Evan Mellmer. First off, man, good to see you. Good to see you not at a pumpkin patch. Last time I saw you was at a pumpkin patch. So how are you feeling after this past Saturday to get a win on the road, not that far away from home, though, against a team that you're really familiar with? What was the feeling after that game and finally having it done and getting a win under your belt?
I joked after the game. I think I felt every emotion that you could possibly feel on Saturday. We didn't know what to expect going into that game. Obviously, Linton, phenomenal team, and the numbers that they were putting up, and they were undefeated for a reason. And the message all week was just, we get one more game, one more opportunity to go out there and play football. And we're just going to play for the love of the game and play for 48 minutes and see what happens. And ultimately, we were able to make one more play than they did, and we came out on top. And I joked yesterday. I didn't even really. It doesn't feel real that what we did on Saturday. But all in all, I mean, just overall proud of the guys. That's the emotion that I feel more than anything. It's just so proud of my team, all the coaches, the fans that showed up, everybody. It's just unbelievably proud of everybody involved.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, getting a win over Linton like that, I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat it. You guys have not been super successful against Linton, and so, I mean, is there an added element to that, being able to get a win against a program like that, that's not that far from you, and having the emotions of the rivalry and that kind of thing? I mean, is there an added element to getting a win in this kind of situation against a team that's so good?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you're spot on. You look at the record all time since 1975, and that was our sixth win to 30 losses to those guys all time. But it's kind of funny. We've split the last four now, so we're 2-2 the last 3 years, and to kind of feel that rivalry start coming back, where now both of us have got a couple, is super super cool and really special. But I love having those guys in our backyard. That's kind of the program. Like, that's the measuring stick. If you can hang with the Lintons of the world, if you can get by the Lintons, uh, your team's in a really good spot to have a really successful year. And Coach Walls does such a great job. And I know the injury bug bit them, but boy, it sure didn't feel like it at times either, because they're running out these freshmen and sophomores that are just as good as the guys that went down, you swear. But yeah, if you can get a win against a program like that, it can do a lot for building your program. And so yeah, it means a little bit more for sure. But it's just a testament to the work that our guys put in, how bad they wanted it, the heart that they had to play with on Saturday, and it all paid off.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, credit to Linton. I mean, for them to be able to make the kind of run that they did with as many injuries as they faced this season is incredible in itself. But just talking about your team, obviously you knew this was going to be a close game. You knew it wasn't going to be an easy fight. But once you got that first half under your belt and you hit the halftime mark, I mean, what were your thoughts then? What were you kind of telling your team at that point? Whenever you're looking up at the scoreboard and like, hey, this is going to be a down to the wire kind of race.
It sounds stupid, but we honestly didn't look at the scoreboard the whole game. Um, we talked about 48 minutes, and this is the last time that we're ever going to put the pads on. And we are going to play for 48 minutes of pure joy. And if we are blessed enough to win this game and earn one more week, then we'll do it again this week. So when we got to halftime, the message was the same. Hey, now you're down to 24 minutes left ever in your careers for our seniors. Get it in your head that you are not playing football after today, and you have to just play for the love of the game and the love for each other. Because we felt confident that if we could actually get to that headspace, that we would play a really, really good game, and we'd give ourselves a chance to win at the end, which we ended up doing. But it was just one more opportunity to go out there with the guys that we've played with since we were in, third grade, fourth grade, and just soak it all in and enjoy the moment, enjoy the atmosphere. Our fans showed up. I think we had more people at the game than Linton did. It was just an unbelievable environment, and we wanted to soak in every second of it. And, ultimately we were blessed enough to get to play ball one more week. But that's the message again going into this week. We get one more week. We get one more week of practice, one more bus ride, one more pregame, and 48 more minutes to just enjoy it.
Walk me through that last quarter. What was it like from your perspective on the sideline when this wasn't a 9-man shootout kind of game, right? So walk me through what your perspective was in the last quarter, and then you guys going down and getting that final score.
Yeah, I don't want to say we felt comfortable because playing Linton, you don't ever feel comfortable, whatever the lead is. But you're up 20-8, and okay, they go down, they score, and we're going to get the ball back, and hopefully we can kill some clock. And even if we got to punt it back, our defense has played really well all day. Kind of liked where we were at, and then we give up the onside kick. They get the ball right back. Very first play, they house it, and now we're looking up, and we're down 22-20. We get the ball back, and we don't do real well. We got to punt it back to them. And then they kind of moved it on us a little bit, but we just basically challenged the defense. We said, hey, if you guys want one more opportunity to win this game, you got to get a stop on defense here. They did. And then when we got it back, it was, not typical South Border either. We had to put the ball in the air. Basically told Berkeley, this one's on you. You call this drive, you get us into the right play. And he did. He moved us all the way down the field. Actually, I did call the play we ended up scoring on is not the play that I called, but he checked out of it at the line and got into a different look that he liked. And then we scored, and I looked up at the clock and went, a minute 10 is way too much time. This is not good. I don't like where we're at right now. But kudos to our defense. They bent a little bit. They didn't want to get Breet over the top, kept the guys in front of them, came up, made really good tackles in space. Once we got that tackle in the open field on third down where I knew they couldn't clock it, they were going to be rushed getting to the line. And then when they snap it on fourth down, it's just close your eyes and listen to which crowd is roaring. And I heard ours, and I went, okay, I think we're in the clear now. So it was wild. It was emotional. It's a game that I'm going to remember for a very, very long time.
That's fantastic. You mentioned Berkeley, and I wanted to ask you about him. I mean, you've got a guy playing quarterback for you that's a two-time All-State player in 9-man, and I know that's not necessarily an everyday thing that you see. A guy that is a two-time All-State player and could very well be a three-time All-State player after this season. Just what has he meant to this program, and especially this year as a senior? How pivotal has he been for you and this team?
Oh, Berkeley's been huge. Started him as a sophomore with the intention of just don't lose us games. As a young sophomore with a lot of seniors on the team that year, and all he did was turn around and let us all the way to the Dakota Bowl. And he's just continued to evolve every year after that. He's a great leader. He understands the game of football so well. Like I said, I don't probably trust a lot of high school quarterbacks to say, hey, game on the line, game-winning drive, whatever, get us on the ball and make the calls from the quarterback spot. He does it a variety of ways. He can make the throws. He can run the ball. If we have to put him on defense, like we played him on defense on Saturday, and that's the first time he played defense all year. But he looks really good over there too. He's just a generational talent and an even better kid. 4.0 student, helps out in the community, does a lot of things. But I ran the stats on him last night just because I was bored, and he's pushing 8,000 yards for his career, 83 touchdowns. He scored like 500 points in his high school career, or points responsible for. I mean, he's just an unbelievable generational talent that we are going to miss a lot, and he's made my life a heck of a lot easier as the coach, having him on my side.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you kind of shift gears and look ahead now, I mean, I know it's tough because you get an emotional win like that's so big, and then you got to turn around and play another game, right? So, and a game against an opponent that you've seen this year and that things didn't go the way you wanted them to. So how do you shift gears now? How do you reset and get ready for a team that you guys weren't successful against early in the season and that you've got to kind of re-game plan for now?
Yeah, you want to talk about generational talent, that Theologist kid over in Lemoore, he's another one. He's the real deal if nobody's seen him play yet. But, I think it's one of those, like, yeah, we got throttled the first time, plain and simple. They kicked our butt, but it just goes back to what we've really, after we lost that Hankinson game, we kind of committed to, we are not worrying about wins and losses the rest of the year. We are going to focus on us and just being at practice, loving each other, and just soaking in every second of this, because you just don't get very many opportunities to play high school football. And once we kind of made that switch mentally, the season has just taken on a whole new life, and it's been so much fun to be around these guys. And obviously we're going to go back, we've watched the film, and we're going to try to make some adjustments and try to obviously win that game and learn from what didn't go well the first time. uh we joked after the game, the boys said they got a plan figured out. We just have to score more touchdowns than Lemoore does, and I think we got a chance to win. So that's our team's mentality right now. If we just go out, we score more touchdowns than Lemoore, we like our chances to win the game. But I think that just kind of shows the attitude that my guys have right now. It's like, you know what? We're not making this bigger than it is. We get one more shot, go over to Lemoore, and let's have a blast doing it and see what happens at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great strategy. Great strategy. What does it say about this region that you guys have, 3 teams sitting here in the semifinals?
Oh, that's wild. We were, it was a weird year for us, being a Region 4 team and playing all the teams from out west the last, 5 or 6 years, whatever it was. And then moving out east here where new game plans every week and we don't know a lot of the guys. And I really felt as the season went along, like, I think top to bottom, Region 1 is, and I think Region 4 is a phenomenal region. But I just felt Region 1 might even be a little bit deeper, top to bottom. And now when you look up, and yeah, Region 1 has got 3 of the final 4. It's crazy to think, actually, that you can finish third in your region and you're sitting here as one of the 4 teams still playing ball. But I think that's helped us in the postseason here, being in some of those dogfights and not having a super easy path all season, where we've had to get into some shootouts with some teams. We've went back and forth. We got punched in the mouth. I think that just battle tested us a lot for these last 2 rounds, and the kids really have responded well. And but yeah, Region 1, it's no joke. There's some really good, they're really really good players. We talk about the Theelgis kid. Throw that Earl kid in from Hankinson. He's one of the best 9-man players I've ever seen. There's a lot of talent on the field every Friday night out here. So it's been a roller coaster of a year, but it's been a fun year.
And yeah, I mean, now you get to see the Thilgis kid one more time, which I'm sure you're stoked about as a coach. But I mean, you guys now 2 semifinal appearances in the last 3 seasons, or at least making it that far. What is this group of seniors, meant to you in this program? And regardless of what happens Saturday, how proud and satisfied are you with what that group of guys has been able to do here?
Oh, you can't say enough about them. A lot of those guys were on the team 2 years ago. Most all of them were on the team 2 years ago when we made it to the Dome. But really only 2 of them saw extensive playing time. So a lot of those guys, they got the experience, but they weren't guys that were playing a ton. And I'm not going to lie, some of our seniors, when they were younger kids, were kind of some rockheads. They gave us some headaches, whether it's at practice or in school or whatever. And something's changed this year with them. They grew up a lot. We talk about, I really don't care about making good football players. I want to make good men that come out of our program. And I've really seen a big change this year with a lot of our seniors, where they know the end is near of their high school career. They're going to be out in the real world here soon. And they did a lot of growing up. And just to see them kind of put all of that behind them and just really rally together and do this for each other. It's cool. It's cool to have a good team like we had 2 years ago. But when you can do it again and make another deep run like we did this year and say, hey, now I think we can say we have a good program where we did it with a new group of kids, is really special and really rewarding as a coach, where it's not just that one group of kids that came through and then you kind of fell off. we talk about keeping the standard, and it doesn't matter who's on the field, how old you are, whether you've played football, whether you haven't played football. I mean, the Kiefer kid that caught the touchdown to win the game on Saturday hadn't played football since he was an eighth grader. Came out like week 3 and goes, "Hey, I think I want to play football again." It's fine. And then we lose a kid to injury. We're like, "All right, you're in the game. No pressure. Keep the standard." And he comes in and makes a game-winning catch to beat Linton. So uh, it's just cool to watch these kids progress from young freshmen where their eyes are huge and they don't even know what the difference between left and right is. And then by the time they're out there playing on Friday night, just the growth is amazing. And our seniors are no different. They went from, I'm not gonna lie, when they were our JV team, they were probably the worst JV team in all of North Dakota. We probably would have been beaten by a lot of elementary teams. They were just not good. But they just kept working every day. Every day they kept working, and they turned themselves into some pretty decent football players.
Yeah. Okay, really quick, couple of rapid fire questions. First thing that comes to mind, Berkeley obviously gets a lot of attention. He's one of the best players in the state. For people who haven't watched South Border play, who's another player outside of Berkeley that they should know?
You gotta look at Joe Keller this year. Kid we actually picked up from Linton. He played 3 years with Linton. He came over with us when we picked up Zeeland for the co-op and has just broken single season rushing records. He's at 1,900 yards and 26 touchdowns. Heck of a running back for us. So Joe Keller's our other 1-2 punch this year.
So now that you've seen Berkeley play on defense this past weekend, do you have to go back to that this weekend?
I have no idea. We like to joke our defense. We call it the dumpster fire defense right now. So we don't really know who's going to be out there. That's a Coach Crabtree situation. He runs our defense, and he's done a heck of a job with rolling out whatever dumpster fire he comes up with every week. But it's been working, so we're just going to keep rolling with it.
I'm going to show this graphic real quick. You guys have spent maybe more time on a bus than anyone. After this weekend, at least. You went to North Border, then you went to Linton, and now you got to go to Mellmer. So what's your bus routine as a coach? What are you doing on the bus as you're headed to a game?
Trying to sleep, but the boys don't really like to sleep, and they're kind of loud and obnoxious. So it's a lot of just sitting. I sit in the same seat, front row on the right-hand side, so I can sit and chit-chat with the bus driver. Kind of keeps my mind off of the game, and we're talking about a little bit of everything, and relax, get to our spot where we stop and eat on the side of the road, because there's not a lot of places that we can stop and eat. There's not exactly big cities on the way from Wishick to Canada. So we just pull over somewhere and just enjoy it. It is what it is. You're going to be in the bus for 4 hours. It's what you make of it. You can feel sorry about you can feel sorry about yourself, or you can just deal with it and get ready to play. So relax and pray that we get there.
2 weeks ago, I saw you on Sunday at Papa's Pumpkin Patch, and you said it was your idea because you wanted to keep your mind off football. So what did you do yesterday to keep your mind off of this game coming up?
Actually, funny thing you say pumpkins, because I was kind of doing more pumpkin patchy stuff. I was out raking leaves and doing some yard work, and it is true though. It's like as a head coach, you spend so much time thinking about football. That's all that you sit and you every conversation, it feels like you're talking about football. You just need to unplug sometimes, and so I was out raking leaves and getting ready for. I'm sure the snow eventually is going to be here, but yeah, hanging out, doing not much of anything. So
I like that. Cool, man. Thanks for joining us. Best of luck this week on the road against Lemoore. Should be a fun one. We'll be watching.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on. Always a good time.
Yeah, man. See ya. All right, that was Evan Mellmer, the head coach of the South Border Mustangs. They get a chance to play Lemoore Litchfield Marion in a big 9-man semifinal battle. Hey, you got to do what you got to do to keep your mind off of football, right? And going out and raking leaves or going to the pumpkin patch, hey, You got to do what you got to do, right? Always a good time talking to Evan. Wanted to get in a little bit of college football in the last few minutes. Dickinson State getting a conference win, their first East Division Frontier Conference win this past weekend at home. So a big win for them to get back in the win column as they kind of hit a tough spot where they were kind of hitting a skid. I wanted to go back and look. They're now 3-6. I wanted to go back and look if they were home. Yeah, they are at home this weekend against number 5 Montana Tech. So they're going to have their hands full at home against Montana Tech. That'll be a 1 p.m. kick. Sorry. They beat Montana State Northern 37-20 though. So that was a big win for them after having lost 6 in a row. So they were kind of in an unfamiliar position, a place that they haven't been in a really long time. Big win to get back in the win column for Pete Stanton and his crew. Obviously a huge game coming up in college football this weekend. NDSU going on the road to UND. North Dakota State continuing its reign as the top program in FCS. UND falling this weekend on the road to South Dakota, 26-21. They fall to 6-3 on the season, and they're ranked number 13 in the country as of this morning. So a game that just didn't go their way on the road against South Dakota. An unusual game for Jerry Kaminsky with 2 interceptions. He had 14 incompletions. Things just did not go their way, and that's one that I'm sure they would love to have back, but that's just not the reality of it. And so now you got to turn your attention to the biggest game of the year, and a game that you're going to hope that, you know, if you get a win at home, then you have a chance to keep your playoff hopes alive. And then, you know, you're also once again in the conversation for winning the conference potentially, which is huge. If North Dakota State wins this weekend on the road in Grand Forks, then they will clinch the Valley Conference. And then you're talking about getting into the race for clinching the 1 seed and having home field advantage until ultimately, you know, you might get to the FCS championship and get a trip to Nashville. So obviously the Bison chasing something really big there. North Dakota State getting its first real test this past weekend, or what felt like its first real test. They went 38-30 against Youngstown State, and they were in a spot where they were trailing a couple of times in the first half. Cole Payton threw his 3rd interception of the season in that game. But overall, pretty good. I mean, he threw 7 incompletions. I think last week was just 5 incompletions and 1 interception. He had 194 yards passing, but Barika Pino was phenomenal. 3 touchdowns for him on the ground. The Bison offensive line, I think they've really got it figured out. Obviously, there's a lot of young pieces that are newer to that offensive line that they've been moving around. And when you're replacing NFL talent consistently on the front of the line as an FCS program like NDSU does, it's not easy to find that continuity. So the fact that they're finding that continuity is good, I think. And the fact that they were successful in running the ball the way they did this past weekend. Bo Brungard on the other side, a really good quarterback, and they were able to somewhat hold him in check. 1 touchdown and 1 interception. That 1 interception was big, but then special teams was a big factor for the Bison as well. They get that big, huge return touchdown. Jackson Williams. Yeah, I was blinking on his name. Jackson Williams gets that big kickoff return touchdown, and that ended up being a pivotal moment, I think, momentum-wise, and just in terms of, you know, getting a special teams touchdown on that 3rd phase of the game. Always something that coaches are seeking out, and you know a guy like Tim Polasek is going to go crazy over. So Jackson Williams having 2 returns and 124 yards on those 2 returns. That's some pretty solid numbers. But the Bison and the Hawks, they're going to both have their hands full this weekend as NDSU travels north to Grand Forks. UND fighting for a chance to get into the playoffs. Both teams fighting for the conference title still, and NDSU potentially looking at a chance to get the top overall seed in the FCS playoffs. But we appreciate you joining us today on the Dakota Drive. Another great Monday in the books. We'll see if the snow holds off for another week as we get into the semifinal round of the high school football playoffs. We'll have full coverage all week on KFYR, KMOT, and KUMV across the state, and as well online as we follow all the high school football teams. Be sure to check out Destination Dakota Bowl, KFYR TV online, where we have all of our coverage of high school football playoffs from the first round all the way through the Dakota Bowl. We appreciate you joining us. Have a great rest of your Monday, and have a great rest of the week.